So today we continue our study of Brachos Daf Zayin with a new passage that seems at first to be a change of subject matter, but in fact it seems to me is a continuation. V'amar Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Yochanan said, Mishum Rabbi Yossi, in the name of Rabbi Yossi. Tova, Mardus Achas, Belibo Shel Adam, Yoser Mikama Malkios. One feeling of self-denigration. It's not really the right word. Humility, it's generally translated as humility, but it really means where a person feels bad about something they did. The point is not the regret for the act, but a feeling, a sense, an inner sense of not being what one is supposed to be. Mikamam, this is tova. It's better than many lashes. Shenemar, as the pasuk in Hosea says, "V'ridfoes mi'ahaveha, ve'amra elcha ve'ashuva elishia rishon ki tov li oz mi'ata." The Gemara is quoting the story in Hosea where the Navi describes the jealous husband who chases after his wife, and he says, I'm going to make your life miserable until you turn around and you say, I'm going to return to my husband because it was better then than now. And it's describing how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to fight to rekindle the relationship between himself and the Jewish people. But the idea is not that the ultimate clincher, the thing that rekindles the relationship is when the wayward wife says to herself, Elcha ve'ashuva, I will go and return to my first husband. V'Reish Lakish Omar, and Reish Lakish said, Yoser mimeo malkios, that it's more powerful even than 100 lashes. Shenemar tachas ge'ara b'mevin hakos kasil meyo. Rather than, it is better than agitating and being harsh, one's understanding, and that is stronger than beating a fool 100 times. So, first, some comments on the numbers. Before that, I should say, we all understand intuitively what's being said here, that punishing somebody is only as strong as the person internalizes that punishment. And of course, then it's not a punishment, it's somebody doing inner work. And what the Gemara is saying is that you can give lashes from today till tomorrow, but if the person never will internalize that, never take their hardship to heart, and then ask, what should I be learning from this, and how am I falling short, and in what ways can I improve, then the whole exercise will never achieve its full aim. You may I don't want to say that it's completely useless, because of course the deterrence, the value of punishment as a deterrent, is still there somewhat, but in no way does it come close to a person who's doing inner work and reflection and sort of internalizing what's happening to them. Okay, now to the numbers. So we know that in general, Malchus, lashes, administered by the court is 40 lashes. Actually, not 40, 39. It's described in Talmud as Arboim Chasarechos, 40 minus 1. And perhaps the idea is that really it should be 40, meaning that is, in order to completely attack or address every single element of the person, you would do it 40 lashes, and giving them only 39 suggests that there's a part of them that doesn't need to be addressed because it's not needing of Malchus. And really, that in itself is an important message. That is, to say that a person is entirely bad is not constructive, and it's not true. So then, but Reish Lakish goes on to say more than 100 Malchios. So, in order to understand this, perhaps we might turn to the Gemara in Bava Metzia that describes an episode with Eliyahu Hanavi, which we won't go into now, but simply to say that the Talmud describes a spiritual punishment in which his soul gets 60 lashes, shitin pulsi denura, 60 lashes of fire. And so we have then the 40 lashes that are administered by the court on earth, but the heavenly court, so to speak, administers 60 lashes. So this would then explain Reish Lakish's comment about more than 100 malchios, more than 100 lashes. That is to say that while Rabbi Yochanan, in the name of Rabbi Yossi, is describing the impact of a person's own internalization and taking to heart what their state is, he's directing that as having an impact on one's work in this world. That is, it can accomplish more than any worldly punishment or deterrent could ever accomplish. And Reish Lakish goes on to say that actually that can accomplish even more than even what one can experience in the beyond, in the spiritual dimensions, and it affects the soul in such a total way. And then specifically the numbers, so I saw an interesting thing. The 39 is 3 times 13. Yes? And 60 is 3 times 20. So that is to say, so I don't fully understand all the details, but there's some remez here, there's some hint to say that the age, when a person reaches majority, when a man should take responsibility of their life in earthly matters, that's from age 13. And so therefore, when a person transgresses that responsibility, the number of lashes is 3 times that, perhaps for the 3 levels of the soul, the 3 levels of the soul that are contained in the earthly dimension, nefesh, ruach, and neshama, for the 13 lessons that they should have been taking to heart. And so 39 lashes are for transgressing that which one should have achieved at age 13, and 60 lashes is 3 times 20, as we know that 20 is the age in which a person is held responsible by the spiritual court, by the heavenly court. So that is the earthly court only judges one's behavior, one's actions. The spiritual court, the heavenly court, judges a person's intentions. And so an earthly court could never hold a person accountable for their intentions, but the heavenly court does. And so Rabbi Yochanan is addressing the physical court, the effects that a person's own internalizations can have on their behavioral, in the behavioral domain, and Reish Lakish is addressing the impact that a person's reflections can have even in their consciousness, in their psyche, in their more psychological domain. And I think it's also appropriate to point out that Reish Lakish himself was an expert in this field, because he was about Teshuvah. He was somebody who had been around the block, had lived a sinful and wayward life, and had come back, and so he perhaps truly understood the impact of what that journey was and how he himself had walked that journey and the total effect that it had. Now, just to connect this to the previous Gemara, we were talking about the moment of wrath, the moment of divine wrath, and the necessity to balance and put into context wrath into the whole partsuf, into the whole formulation of all of the spheros, of all of the different elements that make up the creative endeavor and the creative energy. And here, perhaps that fits into this, and certainly the Gemara indicates with the V'am Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Yochanan said that there is some connection between the two. That is, what context is required in order to allow a person to have that moment in which they internalize and look inward and take to heart, recognizing the inadequacy of their state. That will not come purely from harshness. If you're going to yell at a person all the time, they will never have the space to internalize, to reflect, and to hear their own voice criticizing or holding themselves accountable. And so, in following this previous discussion where we talked about the moment of divine wrath and how it's only a brief moment and it has to be seen in the greater context, here too we're being directed to understand that in education the same is true. That while a harsh word may be required, but it's really, really important, and the majority of the work is going to happen in the person's own thoughts and own self-talk, and the way we make space for that is with plenty of compassion, plenty of kindness, and plenty of support.